How's it going, everybody? Cartha here. Welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Freedom. In today's episode, we're going to start off by going through my flying mechanic and how I have that working. I was asked in the previous episode if I could do that, so we'll start off with that, and then I'll go through what I have been doing in pretty much the last month. So jumping into the code, we're going to go through this step by step, just so it makes sense, and I'm also going to point out that flying pretty much works the same way as walking does at the moment. I did mention last time that I'm wanting to change both flying and swimming, but that's not a requirement at the moment, or just not necessary. So I'm just going to leave it as is. So to start off with, everything that currently moves works the same way by grabbing both our horizontal and vertical inputs, and that's pretty much all that's needed from here. I've placed some handy breakpoints around so I can get back to where I need to go. So after getting the input, go into a giant if statement here, which could be really turned into a switch statement, but I kind of have switch statements within it as well, so I'm like, I couldn't be bothered to change things. So as it works, I should probably go back here. We jump, which I don't necessarily need to go into. Once we jump, start sort of gliding. And if you push the spacebar again, then it just triggers it into, well, for me, it triggers it into the flying state. But you could also just have it so if you just press spacebar or hold spacebar, also does the same thing. My animations occasionally screw up and do that. So anyway, again, flying and swimming, same thing. So all that happens in here is the difference of hitting the jump, or if you want to, for whatever reason, put a different button in, up button for whatever reason, would add movement speed. It's a weird way to say it, but add speed to both just in the vertical direction, or take it away. And then for me personally, I have this other function here. I don't need to actually click that. I was going to put a breakpoint there, which whilst you're not pushing to go up or go down, you will slowly fall back to 0, which is this function here, if ever needed. It's not too hard to work out. It's just a case of working whether you're above or below 0, making it go in the opposite direction, or go towards 0, and then checking if it goes past 0 on the other direction and setting it back. I didn't quite pay attention to where we came from, but we can just go back here. And then I also have a little clamp here, so you can't infinitely go faster and faster. So now we just jump back up here. Whoop, too far, but that's fine. So after that happens, we scroll down, and then we start applying gravity. Or in this case, since we're flying, we don't apply gravity. So if we go down to here, I think, yeah. So confusing myself here a little bit. If we're grounded, I leave y speed to 0, so we're not just infinitely gaining negative speed to hurtle towards the center of the world, or globe, if it was actually a globe. But yeah, other than that, I just don't affect gravity at all. There's no reason for me to take the speed away, or vertical speed away, because again, I want to stay in the air, so that just does nothing. Then we have this weird function I actually have called gravity here, which is basically applying my movement into my velocity. I really need to change the name of this function. I think it was initially the actual apply gravity. Gravity was actually this, but then I did some weird things. But yeah, as said, I just apply the up direction with my vertical speed. That's how I fly. I'm not sure. I'm hoping that makes sense. And I've sort of tried to stay still in the spots where the code is. So if you do need to pause it, you can go back and do that if you haven't already. But yeah, that's pretty much how my flying works. Basically, your normal forward and sideways movement, or more forwards movement, but just doing it up and down. Yeah, I hope that helps. If not, ask in the comments again, and I'll try and get a little bit more clarification if I missed something. Alrighty, So, with that out of the way, I make that sound like a bad thing. It's totally fine. We can go on to what I have been doing. So, I've mainly been working on manager things, my game manager, and its list of everything, which I realized I never went into too much detail into. So I might just quickly try to go through that now. I was going to grab Visual Studio and throw it on the second screen. That would have not been helpful. Okay, so I think he's still open. So my game manager, at the moment, it's kind of just keeping track of little handy things that don't really go in with other sections. So he gets whatever's closest when talking to multiple people at once. It's pretty much the only thing it does at the moment, apart from, as I mentioned, spawning the player. And then I moved the text manager, the menu, and all its stuff in here under it, so it stays throughout the levels. Because weird thing, if you don't take your canvas with you to another level, you can't talk to people. Found that out the hard way. The level changer is in here as well. And my new thing, one of the new things actually, the chapter manager. I shall come back to that. And yeah, NPC manager. The other new thing I've done is still to do with the transferring of scenes in a way, and this one is called, at the moment, it's called the NPC Placer. Not a great name, but it's fine. It'll do. Before I go into that, because that'll be it's more of me talking about that. I've got nothing to really show. What I can show, though, is transferring. Now has a nice fade in, fade out effect. Should be fade out, fade in. I don't know, I always forget which way around they actually go. And depending on the doorway, or lack of doorway, the color changes or not. So obviously the fading effect won't happen if I actually go between different maps, because that would be silly unless I wanted to not have a seamless world, but I kind of want to go for that. So if I just find my transfer collider, it now just has a color, so I could technically make that red. And then our fade color would be red. It wouldn't be handy, who knows. A little tick box if it requires to be faded or not. And I just made the other things public, so everything could be handled really easily, because I'm smart that way. So we just open that. I don't know if I showed this off. There it is, if anyone does not know how to transfer maps. It's a little bit iffy because I'm not, well, actually this doesn't help you at all, because everything is in here. That's how you transfer through a scene, although you don't even need that end part. You just need to write that. And this can either be a string, as I'm doing here, or it can be a number. Oh, I feel like I went too far. Yep, that's getting back stuff that I don't need anymore. Just to quickly show you, if you go into build settings, when you add a scene into the build, because you need to add it in, otherwise you can't access it, it gets set up with a number, and you can change the order of those if they're not in the order that you would like them to be in. Yeah, so that's that little quick thing. That's about all for the transferring physical stuff. Back to these fun guys. So this one is pretty much very, very simple. Just allowing me to add and remove the game chapters, essentially, and being able to, give them a name. And this little tracker value would allow me to keep track of how much progress has been made in that chapter. I kind of based that off the RPG Maker way with how I was doing it there. It was a combination of bools and then basically integers, or they just had it variables. So I can actually keep track of things now. That's basically what this is. This one, being all fancy colored, allows us to I actually need to make this. Oh, doesn't matter. I can choose anything, but have it pick a NPC, which I also did something else with them too. Nothing fancy, just more of a convenience thing. I mean to set an NPC. Say chapter 2 and subchapter 5. So this essentially would be Golduck, whichever Golduck I actually picked. Which one did I pick? Nope, I picked not Guardian Scene. Oh dear. Let's do it this way. Where is my Golduck switcher? Yes, you. I didn't actually mean to zoom in on him. That was an accident. Oops. Grab him, throw him in there. So essentially what this will do is until we hit chapter 2, subchapter 5, Golduck will stay in this position forever if he's in this map. So he can still be transferred to, another map. He won't be visible here, so that's fine. It would just be a case of if I were to pick, where is it? My bridge, Lake Point. Actually, I did actually set this up to be functional too. So, I haven't tested it, but I did set it up. So this will be interesting. So if we now were to leave the area and come back, I haven't got the actual properties for this completely set up that I can tweak it. Because I think, current chapter, but I don't have the tracker value currently set up apart from that one. That is that. Never mind. I'm losing my mind. So if we were to transfer a map and come back, the idea is that Golduck would then be transferred over to this lake point, and that's where he would pretty much spawn. And then I've set it up so you can add multiple sub-chapters, multiple chapters, and multiple different NPCs. And of course, this thing is going to get very long. I need to add a thing in to actually just be able to hide it like that, which would make that much more useful. And if you're paying attention, I can have a lower chapter, which is fine, but say, I'll put that back to 2. Every time I add these in, the numbers increased, same with the sub-chapters. So I'm like, I want to change this to chapter 1. No can do. So this thing is mainly to be used as a progressive thing. So I'm obviously not going to go to chapter 29 if I had that many and do all the event stuff and then come back like, oh no, I need this guy to be in chapter 3 as well. I would have to pretty much redo everything again, which would normally be a problem, but not a problem in this case. As I said, it's kind of a progressive thing. I'll be starting from chapter 1 going all the way through, so. Only potential issue with that would be for, I'm trying to think of like side quests and stuff, if I were to forget any of them. Because technically you probably would rather be best to do those afterwards. But we'll see. I might find a way to fix my mistake. Also, I can get rid of everything. Try to get rid of the actual Pokemon, because that's what's supposed to be. No can do. If you don't need anyone to be moved, there's no point having one of these in the scene. Also made the game manager at prefab, because that was a smart idea. Anyway, so that's that. The little final thing that I did, which is more of a much appreciated beneficial thing for me to do, is the NPC placer. Nope, not that one. I want the other one. NPC base. I'm definitely going to have to change the name of that. I have made it so all NPCs get placed into a holder. I don't know why you're flying, but that doesn't matter. Get placed into a holder, which if we just delete both of those, I'll do that again. It's not in the scene. Add in Pidgeot this time. NPC holder has been created. And if we throw in more NPCs, they will get thrown under this holder. So that's pretty much, if it exists, place it under that. It will make that its parent. If it doesn't exist, make it set its parent. All good. But the better thing Now how we have this problem? I don't have this problem anymore. And that is all to do with a lovely, lovely little piece of code, which should be able to get to eventually. The creator is to do with the way that you spawn in prefab. This thing here, prefab utility, instantiate prefab. Because before I was just using the instantiate prefab or resources. Yeah, instantiating and finding it through the resource. This works so much better because it keeps the prefab, I suppose, utility / link. Because before, like this annoying Pidgeot, that there is no link to the actual prefab there. So it makes selecting these guys all the much nicer. I just forgot about that. Knew about that before. So with that, I believe that is all I had to go through today. Fortunately, again, I had another couple of slow weeks, and the program's starting to lag out a little bit, me moving around. Surprised that wasn't happening earlier, because it's been happening pretty much all day, which has not been fun. But anyway, that is all the time I have for today, guys. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. I also hope that the little tutorial I did or overview for the flying has helped. And whenever I do change that to a more actual plane-based fly mechanic, I suppose, movement style. It's not a mechanic, it's a movement style. I will definitely go through that again. No idea what's on the plan for the next thing, because it's just, I'm trying to foolproof myself. That's basically what this is. I'm just going to point the screen. You can't see me pointing. Because I don't want to be redoing things. This could potentially be a redoing thing moment, but I can also add multiple of these in the scene. There's no need for me to ever have just the one. So there's a slight benefit to that. So if I severely miss something, I can add it in separately, which may or may not cause problems. Who knows? One way to find out. But anyway, guys, that is all the time I have for today. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you did, please feel free to stick around to hear some more, and I shall see you guys when the next episode is out. But until then, bye!